It's funny. We all have those celebrities we admire, right? Maybe a musician, an actor, or someone else in the public eye.
Oh, yeah.
But have you ever wondered what happens when that admiration goes too far?
Mm-hmm.
What about when it becomes less about appreciation and more about obsession?
Well, it's a fascinating area to explore. Most of us can relate to having a celebrity crush, but
Yeah.
there's a distinct line between harmless fandom and what we see in a condition like erotomania.
Erotomania. It almost sounds like something out of a movie, doesn't it?
It does have a dramatic ring to it, but erotomania is a very real and very serious mental health condition.
Wow.
In essence, it's a delusion where someone becomes convinced that another person, often a celebrity, is in love with them.
Hmm.
And this isn't just a fleeting thought, it's a fixed, unshakable belief.
So it's more than just having a really intense crush.
Exactly. A key element of erotomania is that it's not rooted in reality. The person experiencing this delusion often hasn't even met the celebrity.
Oh, wow.
And even direct rejection doesn't change their belief.
That sounds incredibly difficult, not just for the person experiencing it, but also for the celebrity involved.
Right.
Are there any specific emotional or behavioral signs that might point to erotomania?
There are, and they can be quite varied. Emotionally, the person might struggle with intense feelings of longing, jealousy, and even suspicion. They might have very low self-esteem and an inability to accept rejection. Behaviorally, you might see repeated attempts to contact the celebrity, a belief in secret messages, or even stalking behaviors.
That's a stark contrast to what most of us would consider typical fan behavior. I know we have some examples of erotomania in the entertainment world.
We do, and these cases can be both illuminating and tragic. Consider the case of Robert Hoskins and Madonna. Hoskins developed a delusion that he and Madonna were destined to be married.
Wow.
His attempts to connect with her escalated to the point where he scaled the wall of her property, and ultimately his actions led to legal consequences.
It's a reminder that these delusions can have serious consequences. And then there's the case of John Hinckley Jr. and Jodie Foster. Hinckley became fixated on Foster and even attempted to assassinate President Reagan, all in a misguided effort to impress her.
It's a truly disturbing case that highlights how dangerous erotomania can be, not only for the person experiencing the delusion, but potentially for others as well.
Yeah.
Hinckley's actions were also heavily influenced by the movie Taxi Driver, which speaks to the powerful and sometimes detrimental influence of media.
It's chilling to think about the potential for that kind of influence.
Yeah.
And I remember the case of Margaret Mary Ray and David Letterman. She had this unshakable belief that they were married.
Wow.
And she would repeatedly trespass on his property, leaving strange items and even stealing his car. It's almost tragicomic in some ways, but ultimately it was a serious situation.
It is. Letterman often tried to use humor to deflect the situation,
Yeah.
but it underlines the real distress that stalking can cause, regardless of the motivation behind it.
It's all very disturbing, and I can't imagine the impact it has on the celebrities involved. Yeah, these examples are very intense, but thankfully erotomania is considered relatively rare.
Yeah.
What about less extreme forms of celebrity obsession? Is there a middle ground between a healthy fan and someone with erotomania?
You're right. Erotomania is at the extreme end of the spectrum, but there is something we call celebrity worship syndrome, or CWS, which can affect people in a range of ways.
CWS. I'm guessing that's what we see when someone takes their fandom to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's beyond just enjoying someone's music or movies.
Precisely. CWS is characterized by an obsessive focus on a celebrity's life to the point where it starts to interfere with the person's own life.
So how does that actually manifest? What are some of the signs that someone might be struggling with CWS?
Think of it as a spectrum. On one end, you have what we call entertainment social CWS.
Okay.
This is the most common form where someone enjoys keeping up with celebrity news and gossip. It doesn't really dominate their life, but they enjoy engaging with celebrity culture.
Okay, so that's the relatively harmless end. What about when it becomes more serious?
The next level is intense personal CWS. Here, the person starts to develop strong emotional attachments to the celebrity. They might believe they have a special connection with them, or that they understand them on a deeper level.
So it starts to move beyond just casual fandom.
Exactly. It might start to affect their daily life, their relationships, and even their sense of self.
And I imagine there's a point where it becomes truly problematic.
Unfortunately, yes. The most extreme form is borderline pathological CWS. This is where the obsession becomes all-consuming.
What does that look like in practice?
You might see extreme behaviors like stalking, excessive spending on merchandise, or even engaging in illegal activities in an attempt to get closer to the celebrity.
It sounds like CWS can have a serious impact on a person's life.
Right.
What causes someone to develop this kind of obsession in the first place?
Right.
Is it simply a matter of being a big fan?
It's not quite that simple. While the exact causes of CWS are still being studied, it's often linked to underlying psychological factors.
What kind of factors are we talking about?
Things like insecure attachments, trauma from the past, or even existing mental health conditions like anxiety or depression. It's thought that for some people, becoming fixated on a celebrity can be a way of coping with these underlying issues.
So it's not just about the celebrity. It's about what's going on in the person's own life.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember that CWS can have real and lasting consequences for a person's well-being.
It sounds like CWS is a much bigger issue than many people might realize. What are some of the negative impacts it can have on a person's life?
Well, the effects can be quite profound, and they often ripple out into various areas of a person's life. For one, CWS can exacerbate existing mental health issues.
Right.
Imagine constantly comparing yourself to the seemingly perfect life of a celebrity. It can lead to feelings of inadequacy, low self-esteem, and even depression.
It makes sense that those comparisons could be incredibly damaging. I can also see how CWS could impact someone's social life.
You're absolutely right. CWS often leads to social isolation. If someone is spending all their time consumed by the world of their celebrity idol, they might neglect real-life relationships and find it difficult to connect with others.
It's as if their whole world revolves around this one person who in reality they don't even know personally.
Precisely. And then there's the issue of body image.
Oh, yeah.
Especially for young people, the constant exposure to idealized images of celebrities can contribute to negative body image, eating disorders, and an obsession with achieving an unattainable standard of beauty.
It's so pervasive in our culture, these images of perfection.
Yeah.
It's hard to escape them.
It is. And CWS can also have a financial impact. Some people with CWS might engage in compulsive spending on merchandise, concert tickets, or anything associated with their idol. It can lead to debt and financial instability.
So this isn't just about someone being a superfan. It can have real-world consequences that impact their mental health, relationships, and even their finances.
Exactly. And in some cases, CWS can even increase the risk of addictive behaviors or criminal activity.
That's a scary thought.
Yeah.
Is there any help for people who are struggling with CWS? Is it something that can be treated?
Absolutely. It's important to remember that help is available and recovery is possible.
Okay.
The first step is recognizing that there's a problem. If you or someone you know is exhibiting signs of CWS, seeking professional help is crucial.
What kind of help are we talking about?
Therapy can be incredibly beneficial.
Yeah.
A therapist can help the individual understand the underlying causes of their obsession, develop healthy coping mechanisms, and learn to manage their thoughts and behaviors.
So it's about addressing the root of the problem, not just the symptoms.
Exactly. Often, CWS is a symptom of deeper emotional or psychological issues. By addressing those underlying causes, the individual can start to break free from the cycle of obsession.
Are there any other resources available for people struggling with CWS?
Support groups can be very helpful. Connecting with others who understand what you're going through can be incredibly validating and empowering. It creates a sense of community and reduces feelings of isolation.
It's that sense of you're not alone, knowing that other people are dealing with similar challenges.
Exactly. And there are also online resources and communities where people can find information, support, and connect with others.
What about medication? Is that ever used in treating CWS?
Medication isn't typically used to treat CWS directly. However, it can be helpful if the individual is also struggling with other mental health conditions like anxiety or depression.
So it's a more holistic approach, addressing both the CWS and any co-occurring conditions.
Precisely. It's about treating the whole person, not just the obsession itself.
This is all really valuable information. It's been fascinating to delve into the complexities of CWS and the impact it can have on people's lives. I think it's easy to dismiss celebrity obsession as harmless fun, but it's clear that it can be much more serious than that.
I agree. It's important to remember that celebrities are ultimately just people, and our fascination with them should never come at the expense of our own well-being.
It really has.
Yeah.
It makes you think about how powerful the allure of fame and celebrity can be.
It's true. We live in a culture that's saturated with celebrity.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get caught up in that world.
Especially with social media. It's like we have a window into the lives of these famous people.
Right.
And it can be hard to resist the temptation to compare ourselves to them.
Social media definitely plays a role. It creates this illusion of intimacy, making us feel like we know these celebrities personally. But it's important to remember that what we see on social media is often a carefully curated version of reality.
It's the highlight reel, not the behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
We're only seeing what they choose to show us.
Exactly. And that can be incredibly misleading, especially for young people who are still developing their sense of self.
So how do we navigate this world of celebrity in a way that's healthy? How do we avoid getting swept up in the hype and losing sight of our own values and priorities?
It's about being mindful of our consumption. We need to be aware of how much time and energy we're devoting to celebrity culture.
Yeah.
And ask ourselves if it's starting to interfere with other aspects of our lives.
It's about setting boundaries.
Right.
Recognizing when our interest crosses the line into obsession.
Exactly. And it's also about developing a healthy sense of skepticism. We need to question what we see and hear.
Yeah.
Remembering that the media often presents a distorted view of reality.
It's easy to get caught up in the glamour and the excitement.
Yeah.
But it's important to stay grounded.
It is. And ultimately, it's about finding fulfillment and validation from within, rather than seeking it externally through fame or recognition.
That's such an important message. Our worth isn't determined by how many followers we have or how much attention we receive.
Absolutely. True happiness comes from pursuing our passions, building meaningful relationships, and living a life that's authentic to ourselves.
Well said. I think that's a great note to end on. It's been a fascinating exploration of the world of celebrity obsession, and I hope our conversation has encouraged listeners to think critically about their own relationship with fame and celebrity.
It's been a pleasure discussing this with you. It's a topic that deserves more attention, and I hope we've helped to raise awareness of the potential risks and the importance of seeking help if needed.
Absolutely. And, you know, this whole conversation has reminded me of a classic Rolling Stones song called Star Star. It's all about the dark side of fame and the dangers of getting too close to the stars. If you're interested in exploring this topic further, I highly recommend giving it a listen.
That's a great suggestion. It's a timeless song that speaks to the enduring allure and the potential pitfalls of celebrity culture.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the fascinating world of celebrity obsession. Until next time, stay curious and remember to keep it real.